Hello and welcome everyone. My name is John Michael Moy and I'm the Toronto Head of Chapters for Products That Counts, which is a nonprofit dedicated to enriching the careers of over 500,000 global product managers globally. Our mission is to support and empower product managers from our renowned industry awards that recognize outstanding achievements to our education webinars like this one here and award-winning podcasts that feature product leaders, innovators. Today, I'm really honored and extremely excited to host Janette Chung, who is the Chief Product Officer of Copper. Copper is a plug-and-play hardware company which monetizes legacy POS systems to enable contactless and EMV compliant payments and unlock item-level transactions and make it API accessible. Janette is an expert in the global fintech industry, and she has a strong background and record in driving business objectives for payments and products. She was a key role in bridging the payments gap in the Western merchants and Asian consumers and Alipay, as well as starting digital goods at PayPal. Her work spans within customer experience, cross-border fund transfers, risk management, and compliance. As a product advisor and executive, she's helped early-stage companies with fundraising, product strategy, design thinking, and growth. She's extremely passionate about financial inclusion and women's empowerment, advising and investing in startups that benefit underserved communities. She's a founding limited partner in How Women Invest and operating partner at Verdant Frontier FinTech Funds for African startups. I'm also really fortunate to call Janette a dear friend, as we worked together at PayPal 16 years ago, and both of us are Carnegie Mellon alumni. So we continue to keep in touch all these years. Today, Janette will be talking about a really extremely relevant topic, which is mastering product visioning with AI as a co-pilot. Before we dive in, I'd like to dive into a few housekeeping items. First of all, the session will be recorded. The recording will be made available to all those who are registered. We encourage you to ask questions, and we please use the Q&A function within Zoom to submit them, and we'll answer them at the end of the session, at the presentation. But without further ado, let's get started. So welcome, Janette, to the stage, and thank you so much for being here, and we're thrilled to have you here.
Thank you so much, John Michael, and it's definitely my pleasure to be here. Well, I picked this topic because I've seen so many teams starting with OKRs, setting ambitious goals, and then brainstorming features to hit those OKRs. And while it keeps everyone focused, it often turns product teams into feature factories, cranking out small incremental improvements as opposed to having a bigger vision in mind. And I felt like this is a missed opportunity where if we can master the skills of product visionings, we will be able to create so much impact as product leaders. And also, if you've ever been told you were too execution focused and not visionary enough as a product leader, well, I get it. And I'm hoping that today, while I'm sharing some practical tips, it will help you break out of the feature factory trap and start building products that actually can be game-changing. First of all, a bit about myself. I was a head of product at PayPal and Alipay, like John Michael mentioned earlier, where I built new products for new verticals and new markets. Then I jumped into the startup ecosystem, where I've been part of leadership teams as a VP of product and chief product officer. Along the way, I've also advised and coached many startups, helping them achieve product market fit and improving their product development practices. What I'm sharing today comes directly from my experience running product vision workshops for companies of all sizes. So it's going to be really practical. Here is what I'm going to cover. I'm going to explain what a product vision is, and then I'll talk about why storyboarding is so important. And then I will describe how to create a product vision step by step in a week. Afterwards, I will also mention how AI is part of the process as our research and creative co-pilot. Then we will have time for a Q&A. First, where does product vision sit? It is sitting pretty much not just a slogan on the wall. It translates why companies exist into what products get built. So an analogy is like going on a journey. Company mission is why we are taking the journey in the first place, our purpose, the reasons we exist. Company vision, on the other hand, is where we are headed. It's about the destination or the world we want to create. Company values are like our compass, the guiding principles that keep us on track. Product vision is all about the ideal travel experience. It takes something vague into something concrete. Product strategy, however, is the route we take to get to the destination, mapping out the best possible path to reach our vision. Product roadmap is the specific stops along the way, the key milestones we need to build to bring the vision to life. As you can see, product vision is very critical because it is the glue between what the company wants and what the customer gets. I also like to share a quote from the book Product Roadmaps Relaunched. Product vision clarifies why you are bringing a product to market in the first place and what its success will mean to the world and to the organization. At the end of the day, each product leader needs to answer one big question. Why does this product deserve to exist? And a strong product vision gives the team a sense of purpose. It's not just about the next sprint or the OKR. It's about something that can make life better for people and create a better world. So how do we describe this better world? We tell it as a story, but not just a story. It is our customers' hero journey, where they are today, the struggles they face, and how our product helps them overcome those challenges. It's a vision of the future, 3 to 5 years from now, where their lives are easier, better, more fulfilling because of our products. And most importantly, needs to be aspirational, a world that is worth striving for and articulated in a way that is clear, compelling for our team, our customers, our investors, and our partners. Now, let's start with a vision in words. A world where middle-aged men with busy jobs no longer suffer from unhealthy eating habits and the risk of type 2 diabetes because of an AI eating coach that helps them make smarter food choices effortlessly and live healthier, longer lives. Well, that sounds great, right? But now let me show you something that makes this vision come to life. Instead of just words, we now have a journey, a transformation. We see the moment of realization, the wake-up call at the doctor's office. We feel the curiosity as the hero discovers the app. We connect with his daily struggles and how AI eating coach helps him, analyzing meals, preparing food, making better choices. And then we celebrate his wins, tracking progress, feeling healthier, and finally sharing success with his family. This is why storyboarding is so much powerful in product visioning. It's emotionally engaging. This feels like an ad, something that pulls us in. We can empathize with the character, and that connection makes the vision more real. It also eliminates ambiguity because it articulated visually what success looks like. It also inspires action because of the story of change. We naturally want to build towards that better world. So that's how we want to not just describe a better world, we want to show it through a storyboard. Now, let me share another great examples of how powerful storyboarding can be. Back when I was at Alipay, we partnered with Airbnb, and I saw firsthand how they used storyboards. The one that you are seeing on the slide is a real photo in their office, where they put the storyboards of the host and the guest, so everyone can see it. And why is it so smart? Because for partners like us, they don't just tell us, hey, this is what we are doing. Instead, they ask us, how can you help us bring this vision to life? And this is why a strong product vision matters, right? Number one, it makes things crystal clear. Airbnb is not just about the short-term marketplace for rental. It's about belonging that they are trying to create. Second, it also keeps the team focused. If some ideas do not fit into the guest or the host journey, it isn't a priority. And third, it makes collaboration easier because partners like us don't have to guess what Airbnb needed. The vision is just right there. We need to make sure that we are part of their success. So this is why when storyboard done well, it's not just pretty pictures. It brings visions to life, align teams, and drive real action. We talked about what a great product vision is and why storyboard is powerful. Now I'm going to talk about how to create one. Well, a lot of time we thought that product vision is really just the founder's dream, and they have this picture and then they tell the team and everyone will just make the dream happen. And in the design, if we treat it like a design problem, then we will be able to actually make it even more powerful because we are able to use this double diamond method where we explore and refine the problem space and then followed by brainstorming and narrow down the solution space together step by step with our real customers so that we don't just guess their pain point and pray that the dream will come true. We do validate with them step by step along the way. I'd like to talk about where AI fits into the design thinking process and product visioning. Most importantly, I want to borrow this AI augmented human leadership framework because it helps us understand that AI is not replacing human creativity, but it is a tool to help us think bigger and move faster. In the middle of the diagram, we know that for us to be an effective AI-augmented human leaders, we can use AI to help us gather data fast, synthesize them in large amount. But AI alone cannot create products. it is us, human, that adds the awareness, compassion, and wisdom to it, so that we are able to add the human intuitions AI lacks. And also we are able to bring the empathy and curiosity that we observe with our eyes and intuition, and then bring everything back, pick the right path, and make the meaningful decisions about the products that we are building. Therefore, even though AI is helping us move faster, at the end, it is still up to us to connect the dots and build the products that counts. All right, so now let me walk through an example. Let's say there is a company wanting to create a better world for freelancers by solving their biggest headache, money management. Now I'm at the first of the double diamonds, which means that I need to deeply understand the problem space. How can AI help me? AI can help me by, first of all, figuring out the target users and their personas as a research co-pilot. What I do here is that I feed ChatGPT with, let's say, the company's mission, vision, values, along with any primary research that I already have. Then I can ask ChatGPT to generate user personas. Here on the slides are 2 of the 4 personas that were generated. And one is a creative freelancer, like a designer. And then the second one is a gig economy worker, like an Uber driver. As you can see, the demographics pain point of the target ideal solutions are all laid out here. So it's really easy for me to decide which one resonated with the company most. And let's say in this case, I choose the first persona, the creative freelancer. Then with this demographic information, it can really help me speed up recruitment to find real customers for interviews. Then the next step is that I continue to talk to ChatGPT and ask it to generate some detailed customer journey, map out all the moments of how a freelancer is interacting with money, from getting paid all the way to tax filing. And this is a very solid starting point for me to build my interview guide, because I already know what are the key touch points that could potentially be a pinpoint for the customers. Yet, now AI has done its job. It's time for human to take over, because that's where the real insights come from. As a team, we sit down with real customers, and we not just hear what they say, but we also ask them to show us what they are trying to do and where they get frustrated. We ask them to show us how they are managing things today, tools that they are using, and the workarounds that they come up with. Because this is where the aha moments happen. For example, in a project I worked on for cross-border B2B business-to-business payments, we originally thought that speed and low fees are the concerning points. But when we talk to our customers, we realize that those are not real problems. The real problem was quality control, making sure that the seller only get paid after the goods are delivered as expected. Wow, this kind of insights, we will never get it from the words or the data from AI. It comes from listening, watching, and trying to understand the human experiences and the feeling and pains that the users are telling us and sharing with us. Now that we have an inventory of what the real problems are after talking to the customers, the next step is to synthesize into problem statements so that we can later on validate with the customers. And the way we do it is also by using a journey of frustration through storyboarding. In the past, we will do it through a stick figure storyboard. We will draw it by hand, but now AI can really help us make this process easier. In this case, I use ChatGPT to generate a 6-frame storyboard, laying out the key scenes and descriptions of the key pain point. Then I use Mid-Journey to illustrate each frame. Here is what I get: a story of a freelancer struggling with invoicing, payment collection, expenses, tax, and cash flow. And then I will take these storyboards and show them to customers again. And I am watching for their reaction, see which moments trigger their strongest emotions, hear their pain, and find out what resonates and what is missing. Most importantly, this is how we use a storyboard as a vehicle to understand what success looks like for them. Because once we know what success looks like for them by knowing what failed them, then we can refine our focus for the next diamond. The transition is what the transition from the first diamond to the second diamond is what we call a how might we statement. This is essentially a statement that acts as a question for the subsequent solution brainstorming. And it is super critical to get the statement right because it will shape the direction of the exercise. If the how might we question is too small, like how might we help freelancer file taxes, we limit our product's potentials and impact. If it is too big, like how might we enable the creator economy, we end up with ideas scattered everywhere, making it hard to focus. But when we get it just right, it becomes a North Star for brainstorming solutions. And it gives the team clarity and energy, keeping everyone aligned while still leaving room for innovation. So now we are going into the second of the double diamond, which is the solution space. And we kick off brainstorming with a technique that we learned from Google Design Sprint lightning demos. Here we look for inspirations from other industries that are relating to this how might we question, so that it will help us, inspire us to learn from the success elements and bring in our own solution. AI is great in pulling examples from other industries relating to our how might we question. Like in this case, right? AI was able to surface examples from weight management apps that act as a personal coach. So this is a really interesting parallel of how we might approach money management coach for freelancers. Now, with AI handling the research, now it becomes humans that focus on the creative side of things. We will set it up so that the product visioning core team will be doing solution sketching like you're seeing here with hand, mixing and matching ideas and build on each other's creativity. And then we can, after we have all these solution sketches, then we can converge into the most promising solutions by voting on the ones that seems to be most popular, most exciting, but yet at the same time achievable in 3 to 5 years, and mesh everything together into the final solution. Now, after we have shaped our vision, we need to create an artifact to validate our newly imagined future with our customer. But in the past, we were using prototypes of the solutions. Yet I found that for product visioning, storyboard is much better because we will focus on the customer experience instead of the features themselves. We are staying at a level where we are articulating the journey of the customers and how success looked like for them with our product. Yet we are leaving space for the product team to later on explore and test features. So here we are. I use AI to create a 6-frame storyboard where the freelancer experience will look completely different with an AI-powered money manager. And this is the vision that I can now go get the reactions from the customers and see whether they are excited about it. Sometimes we also create landing page of the solutions to get a different level of reactions. In this case, I use ChatGPT to come up with the headline and the features list and the benefit list. And then I use Cloud to create a marketing landing page that is scrollable. And I will use the storyboard and or the landing page to get the reactions in the interview to see what is important and where customers' eye open wide. If during the interviews, I get reactions like, I love it, when can I get this? Then we know that we are on the right track. So at this stage, we are still testing for desirability. And so that we know if the solution is desirable, then it will be something that is worth building and it becomes our product vision. Well, earlier I mentioned that you can create a product vision in a week. And yes, that's what I did multiple times. And yes, you will have prep works to be done before that, like clarifying the company's mission, vision, values, recruiting the right customers to join you in that week, and also setting up rooms and all those things. But the actual double diamond process can absolutely be done in a week. And the benefit of having the core team stepped away from their day-to-day work and fully immersed in the customer empathy and building the future is an intense but rewarding process. By the end of the week, the team will be able to walk away with a validated storyboards that can be circulated with more stakeholders, and this storyboard can be refined and then later on published. So this is how we can go beyond feature building and create a product vision that can truly resonate. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a product vision of you as the superhero. Imagine that you are feeling frustrated because your team is chasing different priorities, decisions are scattered, and there is no clear direction. But then you join this webinar and something clicks. You decide to embrace product visioning using design thinking. You talk to customers, deeply understand their struggles. You craft a compelling product vision in Storyboard. You make it clear, inspiring, and actionable. Now your team is excited, motivated, and aligned. They no longer just ship features, they are building something with a purpose. And your product vision becomes a reality. It's a huge success, not just for the business, but for the customers whose life you've improved. Congratulations. Thank you for being here and taking the steps to give your products real purpose. I'd love to answer any questions that you have.
Great, Jeanette. Well, first of all, thank you very much for a really great presentation. I really thought that it was very comprehensive and it showed just not just like the why, which as a product leader, you're always talking about looking at the why, but also like how you use different sort of tools to sort of approach, product visioning, storyboarding, and personas and whatnot. So I really appreciate that lens. A couple of things I wanted to just sort of say about the presentation, Jeanette, and I think it's really relevant now. Me personally, my company now at AppDirect, we're trying to embrace AI as well too, in all aspects of the organization. Like coding right now, they say 30% will be AI generated. And when you look at product, I think one of the key points that you talked about was empathy. Empathy it can't be replicated through AI. That is the human side of it, which is what you speak about. What do you I guess from your perspective, since you have advised startups and then you've used AI as well, do you think is like the biggest hurdle for adoption, like from a product perspective? Do you think it's really fair around using AI, or is it really the know-how? Like, what is your perspective on it? Like to understand.
Yeah. I think definitely like based on what you were saying, unfamiliarity is definitely one of the reason. Another reason is probably also when product leaders are heads down day to day on short-term goals, then we forget to lift our head and think about how the future of product management can be vastly different from today in 3 to 5 years. And I think it is definitely the time for us to think about how that future will look like, where AI is augmenting us to be a better product leaders, and then come back and think about what do we need to do today to gradually get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. And there was another thing that you talked about, which it was you said in the beginning of the presentation, which was we all sometimes fall into this pitfall of feature development, and sometimes it's reaction to different, like it could be when you're looking to like pressures from a top-down perspective, in terms of you're trying to look for big opportunities. And like sometimes, that's where, as product leaders, we react to certain things like, okay, we need to respond to certain stakeholders, make decisions and whatnot. And, going back to your point around feature development, I think leverage like using AI is taking that like air like when you're let's say you're in the ocean and it's like carving out time to just use AI to think through like okay like all these things are happening, but at the end of the day, like what does it all mean, like, and like the empathy for the customer is that sort of way to use AI to do that. And it can be very simple things, but I do think that they are a little bit correlated because we get in this cycle of just doing like the mundane things. And I think a lot of things from an AI perspective creates a lot more efficiency in terms of what we do. But I do think that it's that practice of looking outward, and AI is the vehicle to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And in some of the good product management companies with a better product management practice, often we product managers are expected to spend 20% of our time in talking to customer. So that means like 20% is like, is it like for 8 hours? like 4 hours of a week, right? And
Mhm.
in other words, we need to make sure that if we are able to use AI to help us save time and be more productive, instead of investing the time back to technical work, we need to be conscious and invest those time into product visioning work, talking to customer, and validating with our customers, big and small.
Yeah. No, that's great. So we have a few questions from the audience. So I figure I'd take a couple of questions. Because I can talk to you more about this topic, but I want to take consideration of the questions we have. So one question we have is from David. I think it's funny because he says he is a Pittsburgh engineer alum, so neighbors of Carnegie Mellon. His question is, have you ever created an animated storyboard for driving product vision rather than a static storyboard?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I actually believe that I have not. The answer is not, and the reason is that a static storyboard actually is good enough for our purpose, because we sometimes we want our stakeholders, whether it is customers, investors, or partners, to look slowly, frame by frame, and then sometimes actually also to go back and then tell us, actually, this is the frame that I resonated most, or hey, this is the frame that we can partner with you by our capacity. And as a result, a static storyboard often seems to work better for the context of product visioning because of the ability to actually go back. Yet, that said, I'm sure if we put a storyboard into an animation, it will work really well in setups like All Hands, where the whole company is really energized by the story.
Mm. And I think that goes back to the point of empathy over your audience. I think at the end, I think both could apply well. I personally have used static storyboards, so I haven't had so much experience with more animated dynamic ones. And I think storyboards is you do storyboards to do a thing. One, to kind of walk through the user journey, saying this is kind of the journey that we want to do. Animation, it's a way of storytelling, audio visuals, different ways of doing it. And I think it's around how you want to craft that story. And it's sometimes you don't know how it will land too. So that's the human element, and that's more of a personal judgment call. So I do think that to your point, it really depends on the scenario. Another question that came up here, so this is interesting. How do you incorporate company-specific data into this process? That's a good one.
Yeah, well, actually, AI can do a lot with data synthesis. So in the past, I have uploaded all the interview notes to one of the LLM there. And of course, I use it in a way that the data will not shared with outside, because I need to make sure that privacy is there. And I then that way I am able to uh, make sure that this contain uh, playground knows everything that I already know about the market, the customers, and also the company. I
Okay.
can also put like, the companies, depending on the size of the company, I can put the company's pitch deck or even annual reports. I can put their mission statements, and I can put the website of the company. I can basically I can prompt the model in a way that ask the model to be a design researcher and consider all the information that I uploaded, and then come up with the personas, customer journeys, like I showed earlier.
Yeah, no, I think that totally answers the question. And I think, my experience in terms, just to add to what Jeanette said is that I think there's lots of different sort of platforms that you can use for for product. I think some of the things that come to mind, it's not just like the platform capabilities, it's more around security. Because like when you share, I mean, data like the like the AI is only as good as the data. And the question is like how much data do you make accessible to train the AI to provide that answer? And there's sort of two different schools of thought. One is like you can sort of create mock data to sort of if you're concerned about security or your data being leaked. The other, which is something that we've done, is that we have an enterprise AI studio, and I think when you're thinking about leveraging data, it's like you want to make sure that there's always disclosures in terms of what AI models that you use, and I think you just have to use some caution of that. And I think it's kind of working within your IT and and just your technology leadership team to find out what makes sense and what is deemed like like I guess sensitive per se versus things which I don't think is like like trade secrets or like things like that. So I do think that that's another thing to incorporate too. Another question that came up too. So thanks for answering that question, Ned. Do you see product visions fitting hand in hand with business models? So if so, where do you see it fitting in with a tool like the business model canvas?
Very good questions. If I have a sequel of this presentation, it will be about how to translate product vision into product strategy. And that's the part where business model canvas will be in place, because it is about, articulating various paths to get to the product vision. And using the product model, business model canvas can help me, let's say, articulate three different possibilities. Let's say one is a marketplace, second is like an AI coach, and then the third one is, let's say, basically I am connecting real financial advisors with freelancers. So very, very different business model. And then I will try to map out the how and then see like which one will be the best path to get to my product vision. By number one, at that point, it's not just about desirability with the customer, but I also need to validate the vitality, whether I can earn money through that business model. And then finally is whether it is viable, right? Viability, whether I am able to technically deliver that solution. So then at that point, with all these factors and also validations from the customers, then I will be able to double down one of the three possible paths that were aided through the business model canvas.
No, no, that totally makes sense. So I'm gonna ask you a different question. So I'm gonna ask you a UX question since I see some friends on who on the UX side. How can design and UX teams contribute to shaping product vision?
Yeah, very good question. And I believe that in this process, when we were talking earlier, we talked about AI, we talked about human, and I'm kind of like basically just use the word human, but in reality, the product visioning team should be a cross-functional team that involve product managers, designers, someone from go-to-market side who are the customers advocates, for example, CS or marketing. And then most importantly, the sponsor of the product vision, whether it's the founder or the head or the GM of the business line. So in other words, designers are taking a key role in this process, because when we are bridging between AI and human, and leveraging human to bring in their experience, their intuition, wisdom, and creativity, this is the part where designer is able to come in. And then a lot of the things that you are seeing, right? The customer journey, the storyboarding. Obviously, when we have a designer in the core team, then the designer will be driving that output.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you a couple questions to close off, and they're more introspective questions. So, You know, you kind of given us like shared kind of like your learnings in terms of AI. Like, can you share an example of where AI has been really impactful? Like, it could be anywhere, like throughout your career, or you can talk about maybe a problem they're trying to solve. So it just maybe you can sort of illustrate that. That'd be really awesome. You can share that.
Absolutely. Other than using what I just did, like in terms of like research and creative, that really saved me a lot of time and also when I don't have the resources to hire a researchers to help me with things, then I can get a lot of things done. So that's definitely one example. The other example is, interestingly, is a thought partner and a thought partner that could work on anything. It could work on anything. Like, for example, I'm treating, let's say, my kids as a product. And
Mhm.
let's say, there is a product vision, like this is what my kids would like to do in life. Then I'm trying to use AI as a thought partner to uh, plot out the roadmap for them, right? And when I say roadmap, that means the short-term roadmap is what are the summer camps they should sign up for so that they are gradually building up the experiences to validate their interest towards the vision that they have for themselves.
Yeah. And no, that's great. And then, so the last question I'll give you is if you were to like look in a crystal ball, where do you see AI and, it's sort of crossover with product going in like a couple years from now? So if you were to look at a crystal ball, where do you see this all going?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Oh, so if you were to look in a crystal ball and like, because I think, we're talking about the intersection of product, design engineering using AI, where do you see the future going if you were to, be like just so if you were to
Yeah.
guess a couple years, what would your thoughts be?
Yeah, that we are able to achieve more
Hmm.
and that we will need to focus on the right brain uh, activities and leave the left brain activities to AI.
Hmm.
And what I'm trying to say is a lot of the product management work in the past, right? We are looking at data, we are synthesizing data. We are looking at the conversion of the checkout flow. We are thinking what are some of the things that we can do to improve it by 0.1%. And a lot of the left brain analysis thing, um, it wouldn't be our competitive advantage looking forward. Our competitive advantage will lean towards to the right brain, like seeing patterns in real life, seeing patterns of how our customers are struggling, even though they didn't tell us, and coming up with solutions that are truly resonating with the customers because we are seeing their eyes open wide when we show them the future. So these are the things that I believe we will have to lean on more in the future.
Mm. Yeah, it's the creativity, the EQ, it's that the right side, which is what you're speaking to, because everything on the left side will be all sort of um, done with the AI. So, yep, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I've read some stories about that too, and about not about product per se, but it kind of that's kind of essentially the takeaway. So yeah, I'm smiling about that because it's totally consistent with what I've read. So that's great. So with that, I wanted to kind of I don't think here's one more question. Last one more audience question. Um, this is from David again. Is there a website for more information or a link to like sort of a place where we can find information resources? Um, do you have any per se, or I have an answer to that, but maybe do you any resources on I guess David, what's the question? Is it information on AI in general or um I'm trying to understand the question. Is there a website for more information or how to link into this great information resource?
If it is about AI, you can just go ask AI.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, that
If it
actually
is
did. Yeah, I
if
think,
it
yeah.
is about product visioning, yeah, feel free to connect me on LinkedIn, and happy to share more.
Oh, okay. And then one last question are you available to offer services to help businesses? I think you are. Yeah. So, Jeanette is available through LinkedIn. So I think, you can find her, and, yeah, I'm sure she'll answer. So, thank you for asking that. So with that, Jen, I wanted to thank you, just generally just for just sharing your experiences and being so like there's a lot of great nuggets in your presentation, and just there's a lot of comments in the audience, just around just like the quality of what you're presenting, and like just like the completeness. So thank you for presenting this, and, I think that it's going to hold a lot of value and weight moving forward. And yeah, I just would like to just thank you on behalf of the Products Account community, just for your time today. So on behalf of our audience, thank you for joining our webinar today. And, Jeanette, let's connect. We should connect after this. So I'll shoot you an email.
Thank you so much. It's my
Okay.
pleasure.
Okay. Thank you all, everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.